Now on 12 News tonight, the threat of severe weather looming over southeast Texas. Our chief meteorologist, he's in the Storm Tracker Center and has the latest on what you can expect. Plus, with the possibility of wind damage and power outages, we're breaking down how you need to prep beforehand. And a comedian's comments gone too far. Now some southeast Texans, they're planning to protest. We're checking out the scene before George Lopez's show tonight in Beaumont. Winds rolled through southeast Texas today. They've been doing that for a lot of the day. At Babes Aharias Park, flags whipping around, water blown everywhere, trees as well. We're already seeing wind gusts 30 miles an hour. That was earlier in the day. Tonight, the bad stuff rolls in. Patrick, 10 is when we're seeing some rotating winds. But around 1 a.m., that's when stuff will pass through. What's the latest?
That's what I'm thinking. As looking at some of the wind gusts, they're still gusting at 24, 25 to 28 miles an hour across southeast Texas right now. Let's take a look at what we expect. And I think as the night progresses, late tonight, our chances of severe weather do go up, as we may see some loner or isolated or discrete cells. If that materializes, then there may be a couple of tornado warnings across the area. That's potentially in the forecast. That's certainly not guaranteed. But I think as midnight approaches, we ought to get about a 50% coverage. I think that may be our best chance of isolated tornadoes out ahead of the main squall line is due in between 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 a.m. That's when the potential for wind damage will be at its greatest. What am I talking about wind damage for? Well, I think we could see 60, maybe 70 mile per hour wind gusts with that line moving through. Maybe a few isolated spin-ups along that line. By, say, 4 a.m., the threat will be ending as the line moves on off towards the east. So, again, late tonight, 10, 11, right on through about 4 a.m. will be the window of opportunity for severe weather. So we'll put this into motion. Just some light showers out there now and this evening. Then, as you can see, maybe some isolated cells. If those become supercells and rotating cells, they could put down isolated tornadoes. That is the potential here. I do believe we'll be placed either under a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch momentarily. Here's the line. That's when our wind damage threat will be at its highest between about 1 and about 4 a.m. Everything moves off to the east, and right now, no warnings, no watches, except for up towards our north. Otherwise, you can see that tornado watch off towards our north. That's until 2 a.m. and a pretty impressive line starting to develop from just east of Uvalde, east of Kerrville, the Texas Hill Country, and near Lampasas. We have seen several tornado warnings and also severe thunderstorm warnings. We'll talk more about what we can expect for the rest of the forecast coming up on 12 News.
Thank you, Patrick. Tonight, power outages, it could be a real possibility depending on how strong these storms form overnight. So be thinking about how you're getting your weather alerts. We want you to speak up. Let us know. When a storm hits overnight, how do you find out about it? Through apps, online, or on TV? Vote live right now with our website, 12newsnow.com/vote, or in your 12 News Now app. Now, Jordan Foster is talking about trees tonight before that storm blows in, and about things you really need to check around your house. Jordan.
That's right, Kate. Out here, things haven't gotten too bad just yet. We've seen a few gusty winds all day, but we expect things to get a lot worse as it gets darker. With severe storms possible overnight, you need to be on alert.
It's always good to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best.
Allison Getz, spokesperson for Jefferson County, says they're getting ready for what could be a long night.
We want to be here and be ready in the event that things go the other way.
Peak wind gusts could reach anywhere from 60 to 70 miles per hour, which is why Getz says you need to remember to remove any loose outside items around your house, like outdoor chairs and tables.
Anything that could be a projectile during a high wind. That's what I would focus on for today.
She says many of the county's employees and resources are on standby. A spokesperson with Energy told me all crews will be staged across the area and ready to respond to all power outages as quickly as possible. Ricky Seaman, owner of Secure Choice Tree Service, tells us oak trees and pine trees are most likely to be damaged by high winds. He says to check your trees for signs of rotting.
Look at the ground, see if the tree has a cave in at the front of it and a raise at the back of any direction. That usually means that the tree's roots are starting to break.
And after the storm passes, be on the lookout for anything that may have fallen over.
After the storm, you want to look for down lines and treat them as they're live. And you always want to inspect the root system, see if the tree is leaning more than it was before. This is another time.
The county has been in contact with the Red Cross and says there is a location for temporary shelter if needed. I'm live tonight in Beaumont. Jordan Foster, 12 News.
Thank you so much, Jordan. And speaking of preps, here are a few more tips about what to do before the storm comes in. Get a plan in place for you and your family if you need to meet if conditions get bad. Have an emergency kit ready and make sure you charge all of those electronics tonight just in case the power goes out. Now, as this storm hits, you want to make sure you have your weather notifications turned on in the 12 News Now app. Just head to your app settings, click notifications, then tap on the severe weather alerts. From there, you can put in your location and specify it for the areas you want to know about. Right now, a protest is underway in Beaumont. It kicked off at 6 at the Civic Center as people gather to protest comedian George Lopez's show. It's across the street at the Julie Rogers Theater where George Lopez is about to perform. Jordan James is keeping tabs on both events. He's live in downtown. Jordan, what's the atmosphere like?
Yeah, Kate, the event just got started about 30 minutes ago. It's roughly 40 folks who are in attendance. Organizers want people to know that this is not a protest. It's a rally in support of President Trump. If you take a look right over here, they're selling merchandise. They have hats, T-shirts, yard signs, whatever you need that's Trump-related, they have over here in this area. Further back, there's a staging area where multiple speakers have gathered to tout President Trump's accomplishment, as well as weigh in on the George Lopez saga. The controversy over the comedian visit started with an Instagram post claiming Iran put up an $80 million hit on President Trump. George Lopez said, quote, "We'll do it for half." Local GOP leaders condemned the comments, saying his cold-blooded humor only encourages radicals to entertain the thought of murdering our elected president. The GOP says it's all about supporting President Trump. Others say Lopez was well in his rights.
I've never seen a president be, off limits for comedians, so why now? Why everybody wants to act like, oh, well, he's doing such a bad thing. He's just a comedian. All he does is make people laugh, so people should laugh.
Rather than turn it into something negative, we decided to turn it into something positive. So we're coming out to support President Trump.
Despite calls to boycott the show, the George Lopez show is nearly sold out, which begins at 8 o'clock. And this rally right here runs from 6 till 8. So if you're looking to attend either one, there's plenty of opportunity to come out here. Reporting live in Beaumont, Jordan James, 12 News.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Tonight we have all new information about a Beaumont father who was gunned down in front of his children. One of the men police think is responsible sits in jail. We were there today as officers led 30-year-old Antonio Jones from the police station straight into the jail. Officers say it's unclear if he was the gunman who shot a man on Pipkin Road Sunday afternoon. Police believe illegal activity was involved. Jones is charged with burglary. The victim is now paralyzed from the waist down. His two young kids, they saw it all happen.
Unfortunately, two children had to watch their father get shot. And granted, it's surrounding a situation that he put himself in that's not fair to the kids. And so the police department is committed to protecting innocent victims whose own family won't protect them.
Now, police believe Jones will help them identify the other 3 suspects in this case. Officers say it's only a matter of time before they're all brought to justice. Jefferson County Sheriffs, Beaumont Police, and DPS, they all got involved on a chase this morning. But the runner, not someone who you'd expect to see behind the wheel.
Let me see your hands.
Hands out the window. Hands out the window.
A 96-year-old woman was on her way to a doctor's appointment, and she wasn't staying in her lane. So authorities tried to pull her over in Beaumont, but she says she never heard anything. Finally, the woman stopped off Finette Road, but didn't get out of her car, so officers had to pull their weapons. But once police realized she was an elderly person, things settled down a bit, and she did not get a ticket. The Great Escape 2 federal inmates pleaded guilty to escaping from a prison in Jefferson County. In October of last year, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office got a tip that some inmates were planning to escape to get a bottle of whiskey that was left for them in a field. Now, Julian Lemus and Robert Young have pleaded guilty. Both were serving time for drug trafficking, but they could now face an additional 5 years in prison. In Washington, President Trump is offering a new explanation for the killing of Iran's top general, who he says planned to attack multiple U.S. embassies. As NBC's Alice Barr reports, lawmakers are questioning why this wasn't part of their official briefing. This all comes as they prepare to break in the stalemate over the impeachment trial.
The White House today launching a new round of economic warfare, announcing crippling sanctions against Iran.
To stop the Iranian regime's global terrorist activities,
while at the same time defending the military strike that took out Iran's top general, Qasem Soleimani. President Trump offering this new justification at a campaign rally last night.
Soleimani was actively planning new attacks, and he was looking very seriously at our embassies, and not just the embassy in Baghdad.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, previously vague about the threat, today echoing the president.
And those threat stream included attacks on U.S. embassies. Period. Full stop.
A wave of lawmakers now questioning why that information was not included in classified briefings.
There was not any mention of anything specific such as that.
Secretary Pompeo claiming it was.
We did.
You said so. The senators are lying when they say that
we told them about the imminent threat. All of the intelligence that we briefed.
He wasn't at the same briefing I was. I did not hear what he just said.
On this vote.
And after the House issued a sharp but largely symbolic rebuke last night, passing a war powers resolution to limit President Trump's military actions in Iran, today Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying she plans to send articles of impeachment to the Senate as soon as next week, clearing the way for a trial to begin later this month.
We want a fair trial, and that's what this has always been about.
Pelosi writing every senator now faces a choice to be loyal to the president or the Constitution.
Speaker Pelosi told her Democratic colleagues she'll consult with them on Tuesday about the exact timing of sending over the articles of impeachment and naming the managers who will act as prosecutors in a Senate trial. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Still ahead tonight, from letting the good times roll to Rodeo Houston, we've got the top performers hitting the stage in and around Southeast Texas. That's next. Guys, it is time to get out the king cake and let the good times roll. Mardi Gras Southeast Texas, they've released their lineup of celebrities who will be performing for the grand event in Beaumont this year for the very first time. Here's what you can expect. The band Dos Borrachos, Roger Krager, and Kevin Fowler, they're all along the top ones, along with Cody West, Villain Ice, Tone Loc, and Jamie Bergeron. Make sure you visit our website, 12newsnow.com, for all things Mardi Gras. You definitely won't want to miss this year, all new in Beaumont. And now, speaking of amazing performances this year, I am most excited for this one. The Houston Rodeo lineup is out, and let me tell you, it is a good one. I've been going for years. 17 performers were released, with a lot of heavy hitters taking the stage. Among those, Willie Nelson, Chris Stapleton, Gwen Stefani, Cody Johnson, Khaled, Luke Bryan. I'm not kidding, those are just a few. Tickets for these performers, they'll go on sale next Thursday. You can find the full lineup again on our website, 12newsnow.com. After the break on 12 News tonight, animals saving animals. The unlikely heroes being trained to help those who are trapped in the Australia wildfires. You won't want to miss it. We've been talking about this for weeks now, and it continues, but now we're seeing some brighter stories. In Australia, a lot of wild animals are having to be rescued because of the fires burning through the country. But it's not just humans going in and saving them. Dogs have saved hundreds of koalas during the fires, and they're still working to save more. Ryan Tate and his pup right there, Taylor, have been on the front lines of the fires for weeks. Taylor alone has rescued 15 koalas. Taylor is one of the dogs who's been trained to sniff out animals who are in hiding places. Some of the dog's trainers say that these pups could eventually save thousands of animals. Now to a story about a teenager who's gone viral for all of the right reasons tonight. On his third day of his internship at NASA, 17-year-old Wolf Kukier discovered a new planet. I said that right, a planet. Wolf had just finished his junior year of high school in a New York school last summer when he landed the internship. His job was to look at the brightness of stars. Pretty simple, but he found one that seemed a little out of the ordinary. Well, it turned out to be a planet. Now Wolf plans to continue his research in astronomy and keep in touch with his mentors at NASA. Okay, guys, we know tonight's going to get a little bit hectic with some severe weather moving in, but we want to leave you with a smile. A mom and daughter, they have a special bond, so that's why an Alabama mom decided to surprise her daughter at school this week. Kaylee thought it was a normal school assembly. When the curtain was pulled back, Air Force Sergeant Ashley King was there waiting. It's been 6 months since the two had seen each other. King's been deployed in the Middle East, but made a trip back home to see her daughter. And you can just really see and feel the emotion in this. Such a special time for a little girl and her mom, and we wish them the absolute best. Now, guys, make sure you have our 12 News Now app and stick with us online and on air as this weather moves through our area. Be safe tonight. Good night.